Legendary. Jeff Davis Show, baby, worldwide. 13 December 2018. Year of my Lord, 2018. Long running, 30 years of broadcasting. Legendary. If you don't believe it, Google it. Google Jeff Davis Show. Currently, anyway, while it's still there. Best news, information, entertainment on planet Earth. This is my baby Alvin Neil Davis. He generally wants to join in on the action. Baby Alvin Neil, he's one of our babies. He's a good boy. Could be a kid, Al. So, tonight is this is one of these YouTubes that will, if it's allowed to stay up on the internet, if the internet stays up, this will be one of the greatest YouTubes on planet Earth. No doubt, no question about it. This is information, 30 years research, in a 15, 20-minute YouTube. And it's really very simple for anybody that just does a little bit of remote research on the subject. Now, I generally start every show, every broadcast, with what's eating America alive. And that is the Federal Reserve Bank, private bankers, 1913. 1919, many of these same bankers, Paul Warburg, John Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, created the Council on Foreign Relations. So in 1913, foreign bankers, grabbed hold of our America's money and currency supply, and in 1919, many of these same bankers grabbed hold of America and ultimately the world media control with the Council on Foreign Relations. Since that time, it's just been perpetual war for perpetual peace, lies for perpetual wars and perpetual peace. These people are wicked. They finance and profit from all this stuff. Right now, international bankers rule. They control world religions, world politicians, world media. We're living in a time of nearly total universal deceit. Currently, the internet is the only place you can actually get any real news, because these CFR political and media hacks and even world religions all peddle pretty much the same thing. Lies for endless military and drug wars and basically fluff and issues of no significance. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're calling to regulate social media and regulate the internet. Because the world order people only want pre-approved information. Pro-military wars, pro-drug wars, pro-cop. Diversions from the Federal Reserve banking system as far as the economic situation. These are basically what they want. And there's a lot of information on the internet that doesn't peddle that shit. Jeff Davis Show, baby, is the best antithesis to all those lies, deception, and bullshit. Now, I already mentioned the Federal Reserve Bank. You have to understand that Sir Mayor Rothschild, back in the 1700s, once stated that, "Allow me to control the money of a nation. I care not who makes its laws." If for people viewing this YouTube, if you don't understand that basic little principle, then you're caught up in a sea of created confusion. You know, the Republicans want to spend money on all these things. The Democrats want to spend money on all these things. And the media peddling, the same shit. And the world religions are peddling the same shit. It's because they work for these bankers. Whether it's the politicians, the media, or organized religion. They just want the government to grow and spend, spend, spend. It don't matter a damn bit of difference what the spending's on. Welfare, wars, border security. So anyway, the Fed is the core issue. It's eating America alive, and all these Rothschild central banks around the world, whether you're talking Russia, China, India, Canada, just virtually all of them, except three there's been reported that are not Rothschild controlled banks, and those countries are Iran, North Korea, and Cuba. The two of the countries that are always being demonized here by the World Order banker controlled media. So I don't know if there's a tie-in or what. But so, and then we got the World Bank and the IMF and the International Bank of Settlements, and these people through these central banks and these world banks and international banks, they run this fucking place. They rule the world. And how they have been able to accumulate all this power is by robbing and slaughtering people, creating and financing wars and everything else. Because, for example, this on the 13th here of December, the supposed big debate is getting $5 billion appropriated for the border wall. What they're not telling you is after the bankers, if and when all these border things and all these appropriation bills get passed, then it goes to the bankers and they get their cut. So a $1 billion border wall or a $5 billion border wall will probably be $7 or $8 billion after the bankers get through with it. But they won't tell you that on the World Order media or the World Order politicians. It's a usury money system. That's how they've been able to accumulate all their wealth and power. The Rothschilds, black nobility, British royal families. Now, to sum it down into just the basics, not only are the American and even the world population being iced by this usury money system, they're also being iced on the back end. Now, regardless of these reports about this booming U.S. economy, the fact of the matter is there's plenty of other reports that indicate that there's a growing number of working poor in America. California's got a bunch of them. L.A., these tents, and people set up tents because the jobs they have don't pay enough, and the paper money they're using are devaluing. So they're working poor. There's also reports that 50 or 60 million retirees in America have absolutely no retirement savings or no nest egg. They're basically living paycheck to paycheck. Reports of college students who can't pay their bills or feed themselves returning back home to live with mom and dad. Now, this, once again, folks, this is a Jeff Davis Show exclusive, because you're not going to hear this on this by these world order politicians and these world order religions and the world order media. This is a Jeff Davis Show exclusive, baby. Now, the Department of Bureau and Labor Statistics recently issued a report. Now, see, this is a Federal Reserve note. Doesn't say anything about U.S. notes, U.S. silver certificates, U.S. gold certificates. It's just a note backed by faith. And the U.S. Department of Labor and Statistics recently came out with a chart that reported that a $1 Federal Reserve note in 1913 is worth 8 cents today. 92 cents, 92% drop in value of paper money. What's happening is, see, this has been an ongoing battle for a long time. These bankers have been doing this shit for decades, centuries. They might not have been named the Rothschilds 500 years ago, but they understood the concept. You grab hold of a nation's bank, money, and currency system, and you control that nation. The right way, the just way, is to have a currency system that's based upon a precious metal, like we've seen throughout America from time to time, because these bankers have always been trying to. The founding fathers wrote in the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, that only the U.S. Congress has the authority to print and manage America's currency system, American currency system. And because they knew they were dealing with the Bank of England. The Bank of England was doing the same shit back then that these private banks are doing today. And in theory, I guess, the idea was if the Congress, controlling a nation's money supply is the most important economic tool of any nation. Now, in theory, the idea was that if Congress was in charge of the Treasury and printing interest-free money or not printing interest-free money or printing money that was becoming useless or whatever, the people could hold them accountable through elections. Nowhere in the Constitution does it authorize the Congress or the presidents to give that authority to private foreign bankers who meet in secret. And that's what the central bankers do, and the world bankers. So this has been an ongoing thing in fact, Voltaire, the 16th century French philosophist, one of his famous quotes was that fiat paper currency will eventually return to its intrinsic value, zero. If there's nothing, the times where there was currencies, where there was gold or silver certificates, you could actually take that currency and exchange it for a precious metal in a bank. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the only real way it's supposed to work. Before 1964, America's coins, the dimes and the quarters, had silver content in them, precious metals. And after 1964, they removed that. So basically what the American people have been reduced to here in 2018 are devaluing paper money and worthless metal coins. That's how greedy these people are. Now, here's the thing with the money. These things have been, since they're not backed by nothing and they're just paper, the central bankers have been pumping the U.S. economy with these things for decades. And over time, just due to the quantity that are being supplied into the U.S. economy, they're devaluing. Just like the U.S. Department of Bureau of Statistics wrote in their report. These basically what this is you have, this is a piece of paper with the number 1 on it. Federal Reserve note. This is a piece of paper with the number 10 on it. Federal Reserve note. This is a piece of paper with the number 20 on it. But the bottom line is, these are all just pieces of paper that just by sheer pounding them into the U.S. economy are devaluing. Potentially, they could be declared worthless. Now, how this ties into America's plight to these bankers, not only the usury part with the printing of the money, but with the devaluing of the money. And this is where you won't hear this on these CFR controlled forums, these secret society forums. If you are operating in a nation's currency system, paper currency system that's devaluing, that's going to affect the entire U.S. economy. Because what happens is, as these things devalue and become of less value, companies, small businesses, and everything in between have to raise their prices in order to compensate for the devaluing paper money. So this is the main cause of the inflation that's been growing now for decades. Passing all this along is one of the major reasons why there's 50 to 60 million retirees that don't have a pot to piss in. Why there's homeless camps and a growing American working poor in America. Because the money they're working for is worth less every day, every month. Students have to go back to mom and dad, back to the nest, because they have food insecurity, many of them. Many reports of this. Growing poverty in America. And this right here, my friends, this devaluing paper money that everybody goes and slaves at a job for, this paper money is enslaving them. That's about the best way to put it. That's a classic. Americans go to work in their jobs, enslaving their jobs for this. And this is enslaving them. And making us all poor. And if it's not corrected, it's hard to say where it could end up. There have been countries like Zimbabwe where people had a barrel full of paper money from their central banks. Were hauling barrels of paper money just to buy a loaf of bread because the money, the paper money, had become virtually worthless. These world bankers are manipulating, it's estimated, $3 trillion worth of international paper currencies every day. They're shifting this stuff around. And it's all paper money. And they're just manipulating it in every country through international currency swaps and devaluing the paper money. And they can literally punish a country through their central bank with the usury and with the money manipulation. It's going on in Venezuela, Colombia. Those people are to the point where they can't even feed themselves, many of them. And that's one of the reasons they're fleeing up to, trying to get up to the United States. So this is a Jeff Davis Show exclusive, baby. It don't get no better than this. These devaluing banker paper dollars are the root cause of growing poverty here in America. And the Jeff Davis Show just exposed it. So, the answer is to bring these bankers out in handcuffs and try them for various crimes against humanity and set up money systems in countries that aren't usury based and they're backed by some kind of a commodity or precious metal to where they don't devalue and you can redeem them for something of value. Right now, like I say, the American people have been reduced to devaluing paper money and worthless metal coins. These people want all of it. In fact, the bankers don't even want this shit that they give us. They can print all this they want. They've got the gold, baby. In fact, our nation's gold that's supposed to be in Fort Knox is currently in an underground vault in Switzerland. And it happened in 1954. J.P. Morgan once stated that gold is money, everything else is credit. This is worse than credit. This is devaluing paper money that's currently fleecing not only the American people but the world population, because they're doing this shit all over the world with central banks and world banks and IMF and International Bank of Settlements, and these world bankers run this fucking place, man. They own it. They own the organized religion, they own world media, they own world politicians. But the good news is, the Jeff Davis Show, baby, sees right through. Don't work on me. When I see Theresa May or Trump or Justin Trudeau or Putin, I know that behind the scenes, they have a central bank, a Rothschild private central bank, and they're running things. Period. because all government appropriation bills and spending bills goes to the bankers. Like Rothschild said, he don't care as long as he controls the money system. He cares not who makes its laws. Two final things. George Orwell, in his book 1984, wrote several things, and I think George Orwell was probably a man ahead of his time, just based upon the little I've seen of it. But one of the statements he wrote was, during times of universal deceit, and even though we live in the information age, greatest information age the mankind has ever known, many people still aren't getting their information from the internet, and where the only place where you can actually get real news of any kind. So even with this internet world forum, the world right now, with controlled media, controlled politicians, controlled organized religions, is nearly universal deceit. And one of George Orwell's famous quotes was, during times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. Right here, baby. Legendary Jeff Davis show. Just performed a revolutionary act. Jeff Davis show right now currently is just about the only place you can get the real news the world needs to save themselves. Politicians aren't going to save you. Media's not going to save you. And organized religion's not going to save you. Because they're not telling, they're deceptive and have been for 100 years. That's why the Jeff Davis show was legendary. You don't believe it? Google it while it's still available. Because you don't know what these people are capable of. These are dangerous times, a dangerous world we live in. These people I'm talking about are into human depopulation. They've been slaughtering people in the Mideast for 30 years. And the controlled media over here doesn't even hardly report on it. Because they don't want you to know that tens of millions of people in the Middle East have been bombed and starved. They want you talking about the North Korea threat, or ISIS, or Michael Cohen, or Putin. They're either peddling endless military and drug wars, or fluff and issues of no significance. Jeff Davis show, baby, cuts right through it. Cuts right through the deception. And gives you the information that gives the world the information they need to save themselves. I take no credit for it. Everything that comes out of my mouth, my mind, my thoughts, is the God of Abraham. Because I'm not this good. I'm not this smart. So, that leads me to my final thing here. On December 13th, 2018, in a couple of weeks, you have December 25th. supposedly Jesus' birthday, which it's not. The Bible clearly states that Jesus was born when the sheep herders were mending their flocks. Most estimates would be August, September time frame. Jesus never said celebrate his birthday. December 25th ties into the winter solstice, decking that tree with silver and with gold, and the midwinter festival of the heathen. And they throw Jesus into this international heathen festival as the ultimate deception, which I don't buy. Now back here, you might be able to see there's a tree up here. My wife wants it, and it's no big deal. To me, it means nothing. It's something different for a month, and then it's out of here. But there's no Christmas partaking for me. No gift exchange, no mass service. And the main reason is Jesus is my Savior. He backs me up. And I'm not going to do anything that I knowingly know desecrates him. He might not like my smoking, but I'm not perfect. He was the only perfect one who ever walked planet Earth, so I can only pray for forgiveness for my inequities to him. But the Christmas tree bullshit and everything tied to it and tied to Jesus' name, it's an organized religion thing. The same organized religions that peddle endless wars for the great calling. Just like the world politicians and the world media peddle endless lies for wars and drug wars for the great calling. Calling, by definition, means to exterminate an inferior species. Now, since 1991, Desert Storm, who I publicly opposed as a U.S. congressional candidate and as a active U.S. Air Force reservist, I publicly opposed my own commander-in-chief about going into Iraq at Desert Storm. I'm glad I did. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Because by all indications, these people like